Hey, how's it going, everybody? Another fine Saturday morning. We've had a bit of a break, but we're back to it. We're gonna play beat 'em ups again on Saturdays. Jugger Jazz, Dinyan, Ushi, how's it going? So yeah, I was digging through, obviously we've had a break for a while, and we're having, in doing so I tried to clean a bunch of stuff up. I got, the collection actually, like, put together on Twitch, and unfortunately in doing that I realized that the episode, or the stream where I did the, Super Nintendo superhero beat 'em ups just wasn't saved. I don't have a local recording of it. I don't have a Twitch recording of it. There's just nothing. It's gone. So, I don't know exactly what today is going to look like. I do know that I, at the very least, need to beat Batman Returns and Death and Return of Superman today, because I have things written for them. Fortunately, what I had written for them was saved. So I don't have to rewrite the review for them or anything. But I do have to play through them again, so I have a VOD. Anyway. Let's see here. Okay, bro, man. This needs to be... this, and then we hit this. Yeah, Captain America and the Avengers ate up a lot of that stream and didn't get finished. So, if I certainly can try again. God, the story for this game, or for this movie, is quite cruel. Also, the game is muted. That's interesting. I'm glad I realized that before gameplay. I want to say this game took me 2 tries. I don't know. I think the Penguin is a pretty interesting villain for Batman, because he's the kind of villain that's not... I mean, don't get me wrong, I wouldn't do it every time. But I do think it's interesting to have villains that don't directly engage with the hero in, like, a combat sense. Where just, like... They're the kind of villain that they have to interact with in kind of a more, I don't want to say diplomatic, because it's not like they're negotiating with them or something. But they don't just go up and fight. So anyway, this game has punches, the weapon, jump, and then like I've been doing here, you can reset the punch string by blocking. It's interesting that jump attacking doesn't instantly kill the motorcycles, but the boomerang that does basically no damage and just stuns enemies normally does. Penguin feels like a minor villain. I can definitely see that given like a lot of the cartoons and stuff, because the Penguin's a more difficult character to write when you're not being serious. As weird as it is. Sonic Blastman? No. This is focused on more like comic books or like superheroes that are, you know, having a game written about them, rather than Sonic Blastman is its own game where Sonic Blastman is the hero and there's no IP it's working around. But that's definitely a game I mean, the two Sonic Blastmans are definitely games that'll be played at some point. I don't know why I picked that up. There's no purpose in it. I think I need to move my mic closer. Hopefully this doesn't fuck anything up. There we go. And yeah, this game has these segments. Boss? You can do this gimmick. I don't know how to dodge that. I guess go under him. Yeah, I mean, there's so many games I have to play for this overall series that stuff is just not gonna get grouped together cleanly all the time. The Batman? This plot is really funny to me because honestly, if you know anything about American politics, the mayor is like not actually a particularly powerful position. Like the mayor has authority to do some things, but like a vast majority of things a city does are determined by a council. And the mayor basically just kind of like signs the papers for them. of the city? I mean, not even really. It's not like they have the power to... They don't, like, order the police. Whoa. Knife tea. So one kind of like... Oh, just run into him with the dynamite in his hand and it blows up. Cool. One kind of like recurring joke in this game, I guess is a way to put it, is they'll have these waves of enemies where it's like 3 at a time and 3 at a time. And then once you kill every enemy in the wave, it'll just give you one last guy on his own. Like this guy. Oh, this part. I don't love this part. Gonna bounce at him. Yeah, it is very much like it does make sense. I don't want to make it say like it makes no sense at all. It's just funny in the context of like when you actually think of the details of like what a mayor could do without checks. It's not very much. Okay. Important is Gotham? I mean, it's basically New York City, right? Like, that's kind of the... Or maybe Chicago? I don't remember. It's... I'm pretty sure it's either supposed to be New York or... Canonically in New Jersey. Yeah, right, but I mean, even if it's not canonically in the same place, it's essentially mimicking what another city is. Central Chicago. Is it? I thought it was still like one of the bigger East Coast cities, but I guess it makes sense with it being central. I mean, the snow is why I kind of was second-guessing the New York City thing. Because depicting New York City with snow would not be... I'm not going to say it doesn't happen, but it's not nearly like... Chicago, on any given year, you would expect to have a bunch of snow on the ground pretty consistently. I think I can just combo this guy. Sure can. Supervillain plan to take over Chicago is, yeah. But at the same time, I feel like, how do I put this? The Penguin as a villain is less ambitious than a lot of supervillains. Like, he wants to do bad things, but he's not like a take over the world kind of guy. He's he wants to be big and powerful kind of guy. And you know, I actually think some of the depictions of the Penguin at least have shown him like getting into that kind of position of power and wealth. And just kind of like not knowing what to do with it. Hey, Elrock. Congrats on the stuff going well. Yeah, I mean, most of the stuff that happens in this movie is pretty low stakes. I mean, there's a murder. Which actually, a murder is bigger than what happens in a lot of superhero movies, if we want to talk realistically. There's a lot of superhero movies where, like, there's property damage and that's it. That's all that happens in the entire movie is there's property damage. Oh, I can't throw boomerangs because he's right next to me, and I wanted to kill that guy. I'm not sure it's a sprite limit thing. It's a, I think it was a proximity thing, where I was trying to punch because there was an enemy right next to me. But maybe those are related. I don't know. Because like here, there's just as many sprites. Yeah, it's like this, where I'm trying to punch his legs, but I can't because they're legs. They're stilt legs. He was the only guy on screen there. There were some guys up there that I assume there's a way to fight. Alright, Catwoman is kind of a menace. Not input, just do. I think it's X. There we go. Do that, be done with it. Saved by kitty litter. As if jumping into sand wasn't effectively jumping into concrete. Yeah, the famously invulnerable part of someone on stilts, the stilts. The AI in this game is so strange. Just walked away from me and then punched the air to the side. Oop. Meant to throw him to the right, but... Well, that kind of sucked. Oh! I was hoping to hit him into the jumping guy, but obviously it didn't happen. Does this game make me feel like Batman? No. Thank God nothing makes me feel like Batman. If I become a billionaire who spends my time fighting mentally ill people, then I've failed at life. Come on, Molly. Ever watched Lego Batman? No. I don't watch a lot of movies in general, and Lego Batman is certainly not one that I've watched. Alright, Catwoman round 2. I didn't need to do that. She wasn't doing the lunge. Did she not do that during this version of the fight? I'm an idiot. Hey, doggy sandwich. Right, the penguin fight. What's the deal here? Just have to not... not get overzealous. Like that. Just driving into you is his most powerful attack. I don't remember, this fight isn't too bad once you understand the patterns, I remember, but like, it's just kind of weird. I'm getting too antsy, wanting to do damage. That's right, and you have to hit him to make him go up. That's what I still don't expect the umbrellas to actually explode. God damn it. Definitely don't think that fight is the highlight of the game. Alright. We gotta start shooting air hockey pucks at people. I also like that they kept the UI the same, which means we get this nice no use at the top. Okay, that is in fact. Kind of shocked neither of those hit me. These have a much... Oh god, those hills are really aggressive. Yeah, it seems like the rockets have a much smaller hitbox than I might be led to believe. I can actually kind of see those on the straightaway. On the hill part, it was kind of just like a guessing game. this is the campaign van, the propaganda van. So yeah, this segment is kind of like a pain. I don't think it's very fun, but mercifully they made it quite easy, so whatever. Such a weird turn, like, I'm gonna be mayor. No, actually, I'm kidnapping all the firstborn children. That's actually my plan. Thank you. Yeah, realistically speaking, the Penguin's polling went up 5 points after his devious plan was revealed. Got an extra Batman. Right, they just kind of toss it. There's not a real warning. And unfortunately, like, they have the cool backslam thing, right? And then they hit you on a stage where it's like, man, it'd be really cool to use that to throw enemies off the back. No, you're not allowed to do that. Well, that kind of worked out for me. Oh, I guess that doesn't really do much damage. Which is good, because it has no real warning to it. Just iframe through it instead. Firing into a machine gun into the crowd. That's how you win. That's how you win the NRA sponsorship. Really, his only mistake was not hitting any of the children. If he'd gone to a school or something, they'd be all about it. I'm gonna get a little bit less dark here. While we fight this organ grinder. Oh, that... I thought I had one more. There we go. I was just resetting my lives for the next stage, clearly. Clearly! Finally, the penguin will pay for his treachery. Oh. I actually didn't know that interaction would happen. That's interesting. Whoop, I thought he was way lower. Frame I dropped in was weird. See, I don't mind these rockets where you're expected to dodge them and there's nothing going on. I'm a little weirded out at the... Nice, I respawned on the health. I'm a little weirded out at the ones they did in the middle of another fight. Because the shadows don't draw very well when there's other stuff going on. Last guy? Yep, here he is. I like the sword thrower who, like, yeah, we're about to fight, but let me show you the act. I'm gonna swallow the sword to prove that I can. Sword? That's true, it's sword.
After a long absence, Sword has returned. Yeah, this fight. You have to be so quick on. You have to be so quick, and you can't jump that high. Maybe the trick is to not try and go all the way in. Well, doesn't matter. Yeah, the duck and his two penguins riding it, it's great. And this very silly fight. Basically just don't want to mess with him anytime he's flying, so just use a test tube if I have it. And that's it. That's the whole game. Kind of a weird final boss. Like, obviously it's the movie. Like, you know, it's not like you can invent a different thing to be the final boss. But the penguin does feel like a very strange person to fight at the end of a beat 'em up. Like, he's just this little round guy. Oh, Kingpin is a gigantic round guy, though. Also, he's more of a square than round. Kingpin by the original comic story is a big dude. Like, don't get me wrong. He is a monstrously big human being. But he's also, like, in the range of observed human sizes. Like the Kingpin is like what happens if you have the world's strongest actual man and put them into a superhero universe, where it's like, yeah, he is freakishly strong and gigantic, but also like he is a real human being potentially. Is he only 6'7"? I thought he was like 7'4". I mean, 6'7" is still quite big, don't get me wrong. Especially for a man of his build. But yeah, as time goes on, Kingpin's kind of become bigger. They've kind of realized, like, actually just being, like, big is not really that inch tall. Yeah, if you're, like, that's the big thing is, for a person of his height to be as wide as he is also is highly unusual. Kingpin's right, he's the head of Mafia with no superpower. He is, however, on the high end of non-superpower person's strength. Like I said, it's like if you've got the world's strongest man and you pit him against superheroes. Like, yeah, he's the world's strongest man. That's not a superhero. Anyway, as per usual, I don't actually have to write a review for this because it's already done. Wait, do I have a button for this? I do. This. So yeah, I already wrote the review for this a while ago when I did this the first time. I do need to go out of studio mode so it shows correctly. But yeah, I think this game is pretty great overall. I mean, it's got the weaknesses that the Super Nintendo beat-em-ups have. That's for sure. It lacks significant enemy variety. It can't, or it struggles with the sprite limit and not having a lot to do. The enemies are a bit weird where they kind of like just wander a lot and then sometimes attack. But overall, I think most people would probably enjoy this game, especially if they were looking for, like, a Batman game. Like, if you're looking for a Batman game, I don't think you're going to be disappointed with this game. Yeah, that's it. That's the whole of it. It goes a little faster when I don't have to actually write the stuff. And when I beat the game on the first try instead of second. That makes a big difference, too. Anyway, this is not Batman Returns. This is... Alright, so Superman is kind of a notoriously hard superhero to make video games about. And add to that formula, making a game based on Death and Return of Superman, which is kind of like this notoriously unliked arc of the comic. which also a lot of people consider to have done like long-term permanent damage to comic books because of the nature of the storytelling that it did and what it did for like the concept of death in superhero universes, which is to say making it so that death was meaningless. So yeah, you can jump, fly. You've got laser eyes, but they do like basically nothing. Like, like just no damage at all. And then you've got this super button that can only use the stocks of, so we've wasted one. Every once in a while, they give you stuff that you can throw. But basically, you mostly just have to like walk around and punch dudes, because there's really not anything interesting to be doing in this game most of the time. You can throw dudes, and the throw's like kind of cool, like the spin around throw. Rambo. Oh yeah, and the throws are directional, so you can also do like that kind of back slam throw. Well, I got it. Oh god, that sucked. I don't know, this game like just doesn't have a lot to it. They try and add a little bit of enemy variety, but it's kind of like stage dependent. Yeah, like, again, it comes back to, like, Superman is such a strange character to do anything with. And, like, I don't hate Superman as a character. I don't think he's the greatest superhero-style character in the world by any stretch, but, like... I've definitely gained more appreciation for, like, some of the nuance of what Superman is meant to be, recently. But he's still kind of the, like... Hey, what if this guy was just God? Wow, that is a big hitbox. Yeah, and you can't really cheat combos to do more damage, because the enemies just end up getting knocked down like a hit earlier or whatever. Man, that is a gigantic depth axis. Jesus. He just kind of does it sometimes. in glowing health, which I don't remember if means something. Yeah, I mean, pretty much any interpretation that I see of Superman in, like, a video game like this just kind of works under the assumption of, yeah, he's holding back because he's trying to not kill all these people. Every once in a while they hide stuff like up there. I'm gonna try and land it. Nope, okay. I was gonna try and use a power because I'm pretty sure you get those back on death. Hey Higa, how's it going? Every once in a while they hide stuff like up there. You remember this game? Yeah, I'm sorry. Here he is, Closter. Doomsday. Yeah, like... One of the examples of, like, Superman being written in a way that I really like, kind of plays to the fact that he's... I almost think Superman's more useful as a supporting character. Because there's this comic where Shazam is in it, or I think it's a Shazam comic actually. I'm not 100% sure. But Shazam, if you don't know, Shazam is like literally a child who turns into an adult superhero when he does that shit. But like Shazam has this comic where these people attack him and his friend is there and they kill his friend, like legitimately kill his friend. And you know, Shazam is a child emotionally, like legitimately he is a child. He is going to react to his friend dying in the way a child would. Yeah, it's where he finds out, yes. And like, so like the main point of the story is Superman trying to figure out how to deal with this person who he's been, like, he's worked with Shazam, right? Like they know each other at that point. And then like coming to terms with, oh, this guy is a literal child that's been burdened with all this? As opposed to, like, Superman fighting guy who has no chance because he's fighting against fucking Superman. As opposed to this fight where I'm getting hit by a chainsaw. Chainsaws are such a funny thing for people to use as weapons to me. Because, like, if you have ever worked with a chainsaw, you will immediately understand how fucking terrible of a weapon they would be. Like, yeah, you could absolutely hurt somebody very badly with one. but also, like, if you have to do anything that isn't just immediately hurting them, oh god, you are in fucking trouble. God, Doomsday is a fucked up fight. You can do this to Doomsday. This is very funny, where, whoops, not where you don't fly, where you just fly and you sit like here. And he'll just kind of get pummeled by this thing very slowly. But that takes a long time. Yeah, exactly, Junkie. That's why, like I said, I think he's more useful as a supporting character for that reason. Which isn't to say he doesn't have some, like, of his own interesting stories, but, like, Western comics obviously have leaned really hard into, like, oh, he's the strong guy. Look how strong this character is, and that's why they're a superhero. It's like, that's the least interesting part of these stories, my dudes, and the fact that you don't understand that is why Western comics have been a dying industry for a long time. Or, I shouldn't say dying, I should say, shrinking industry. The way enemies impact when you throw them is very strange. Yeah, what if Superman is an asshole is definitely a comic series or a style of writing him. People have got to make themselves feel better about being an asshole. And imagining that they're the strong guy and also an asshole. Like, that's what that comes down to me, is just people who are assholes who want to imagine that they can be the strong guy. Because, like, I don't think, like, self-insert is, like, a tremendous problem. I think to some degree, so to some degree, people are going to write themselves into the characters that they like and admire because they want to see themselves in those characters. But also, like, you can get some real insight into people by looking at what kind of characters they self-insert into and how they write characters that they clearly like. Yeah, I mean, a part of that comes down to, like, trying to continuously write stories for the same characters forever, where you just, like, what else do you keep doing? And also, like, the nature of writing comics and trying to cater to an increasingly specific demographic without understanding why your demographic is continuing to become more and more insulated. God, I hate this fight. Doomsday is a shitty fight because you have to like be pretty specific on how you engage with them, and he dodges jump attack really well. What the fuck, dude? Do I just have to fucking shoot him? Oh, I can't even shoot him. I'm gonna be mad when I game over here. Just garbage mechanics. I don't remember if this game has infinite continues. Oh, we're back here. Fortunately, my recollection is that Doomsday is the worst fight in this game, that they get the worst boss fight in this game out of the way pretty early. Because, like, the Doomsday fight just barely works. That didn't hit you, huh? Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I think the angle of, like, having superheroes who have a different take of what the moral thing to do in a situation is an interesting angle to take. Like, where you have characters who are fundamentally aligned, but also, like, have real disagreements about methods and consequences. But that's also, like, a very difficult type of conflict to write well. Right? Like, it's very easy to get stuck on, like, oh, they get mad and then they resolve their differences by question marks. Do I just need to, like, run away from him for, like, a long-ass time so that he loses invincibility? Is that what's going on here? Well, I did lose that now. I think that's all it is. So that he just has way more invincibility than... Yeah, the issue of DC not being willing to, or not even just DC, of comic books not being willing to let go of characters ever. They found their successful IP, gotta milk it. I don't know why, like, every once in a while I'm like, I should shoot the laser eyes at him and use that to set something up, and then it hits him. I'm like, oh, that did nothing, and also didn't set up for anything. So this game doesn't believe in having this mechanic be useful other than to do shit like that. Or to have enemies stack properly. The weird thing is there is stacking in this game. Like, you can hit multiple enemies at once and sometimes, but oftentimes it just doesn't. Right. Like, I can't express how much better it is to, like, read... You know, I'm obviously not, like, a huge anime person. Like, I don't hate it by any stretch of the imagination. There's anime I like, but, like, there's so much more anime that I've seen and, like, or heard of or whatever that's just its own coherent story. And it might be really similar to some other story that's been told before, you know, like... I'm sure there's any number of animes you could go and point to. It's like, this is Ranma 1.5 again with a slightly different premise to why these people are collected here. Like, I'm confident that that would be a thing. But also, like, those individual stories have their own resolution. And then they don't go back and say, oh, by the way, here's the next adventures of Ranma and friends. They just go, okay, moving on. Side note, this is part of the reason that I think Dragon Ball Z is fucking awful. Dragon Ball is absolutely turned into the Eastern comic book, or the Japanese version of the Western comic book problems. I keep forgetting that this locks me for a really long time if I do that throw. Yeah, the original Dragon Ball is just Journey to the West. It is. Okay, it is just that he has a fuckload of invincibility. And, like, I don't hate Isekai, like, conceptually. It's fine. But at the very least, most of it you can, like, leave as its own thing. Who will defend us now? Double KO cannon? Yes, well, sort of. I mean, Superman, like, dying there is, I mean, this is the premise of the comics. Got lazy with it. Yeah, I mean, like, that's a problem in any medium, though. Like, no matter what you have, you're always gonna have just people writing fucking nonsense, right? Like, there's always those people looking to just kind of cash in or write a story or whatever, and not really having a true storyline they're desiring to write. I don't think that's a problem with Isekai manga in particular. Name of the arc sucks because its own title is a major spoiler. Yeah, I mean, at the time they did it, I don't think they called it that. I think they just called it the Death of Superman comic, and then they ended up adding that. Anyway, we're doing shmup stuff now. We're this cyborg Superman. Like, obviously, in retrospect, everyone knows it's the Death and Return of Superman, but I don't believe that's the way it was presented when they were making it. Anyway, we start getting these enemies that fly, and you kind of have to fly to fight them. Oh yeah, and instead of laser eyes, we got a blaster. Yeah, this new Superman has his own attacks. Got different throws. That does a lot of damage, goddamn. One of the most expensive PAL Mega Drive games. Yeah, weird stuff happens to game prices, especially with availability. I wouldn't be surprised if it's just a combination of there's not that many and also, like, people didn't keep it. Oh, there is a down throw. Okay. Oh, damn it. Oh, really? Yeah, like, I don't know. I have weird feelings on the retro game market, too. Because, like, people complain about the price of games and all that. And, like, don't get me wrong, I think a lot of them are pretty inflated. But I also think a lot of them are, like, the same or lesser price to when they were new. So, like, and also there's inflation to take off that. So it's not really like their value went up in that sense. We kind of got spoiled for a while with like retro games being on the out, where you could get stuff for just nothing, you know? Doesn't mean I think the prices they're at now are right either. But probably a good sign that, you know, like, I pretty rarely talk about other shit during games, and this game I just don't. So some of these levels I know have like power-ups hidden if you fly. I don't seem to have found any of those levels yet. Why did that do so much less damage than it did during the flying segment? Is it because I can't be knocked down during the flying segment, so it has to hit me all the times that it can instead of once? I 100% would be not surprised to find out that's the reason. I think this is just throw people in the game more realistically. Yeah, finding out about anything on dial-up was wild, because it was, you know, it was a real commitment what you wanted to download. You know, you didn't just download, you didn't just click something, download it, and then go, oh, whatever. It was like a commitment of your time on the computer, and also like, you know, if you lived with other people, then it was, oh, also nobody else can use their phone. It's so weird how late that hits. Good shot. Got your buddy clean. Oh, nice one-up. Hit it with the color palette. Use this huge ass blaster and just do nothing. Oh right, this weird fight. Wait for him to stop. I love that this guy just like has giant muscly robot arms for no fucking reason. Like Sentinel easily could have been just this. Here's Doomsday. Didn't even kill him. He killed Superman, didn't even die. Now we have this guy, whose cape is very floaty. Oh yeah, and his forward throw takes forever. Knees. Yep. still doesn't do damage. It's kind of interesting that that'll actually hit multiple enemies. Oh, please. He's got nothing on Vigilante last boss. Absolutely nothing. I'll have that emote the exact day that I want to remove myself from Twitch permanently. Yeah, well, shmups have the added problem that, like, they're a very, like, reaction-heavy genre. So inherently, anything that adds any sort of, like, input delay or something like that is very problematic for actually playing them. So there's a lot of incentive to get them in a way that is authentic. Because, like, emulation is obviously great, but a lot of emulation adds input delay. Not intentionally, just, like, the reality of what happens when you're emulating something. And also doing so on a platform like a PC that isn't natively optimized for what you're doing. Yeah, I understand what you mean, Fireball. My strategy for shmups is to just basically always be looking at my shit. And, like, looking at the things immediately adjacent to it. And that's fine, but it comes with its own issues. I wish I had things to say about this game, but I just really don't. Hey, Adam. It's going fine. Just, you know, playing this game that's not that interesting and is long. Um, I think The Tick might legitimately be a more interesting game than this one. Oh, Man of Steel got me with his hammer. Right, he's the fucking idiot we have to just throw every time. Or we can't? But yeah, the other thing about this game is the bosses are really, really good at dodging jump attacks most of the time. I think I might have gotten him trapped in a position where he can't. And by that, I mean I fucked up and let him out of said position. Yeah, here's our superpower. It's just so weird to have this, like, oh, Superman died, now here's all the Supermen. Hey, Jiggy, thanks for the raid. How'd the end of, I think you're doing Tomb Raider today? How'd the end of that go? Oh, you're not done yet? I see. To be perfectly honest, I have no recollection whatsoever of how long Tomb Raider is as a video game. I feel like it's one of those games I've seen somebody beat in like 3 hours, but also that doesn't mean that's really what a playthrough takes. I'm actually just gonna die so that I don't get through the entire stage and die. 2 levels successfully rated today. Good. Oh, okay. Well, that's fine. It's not like these are long. Thankfully, these fully auto-fire. Yeah, like, I feel like these are one of those things they just kind of knew weren't that good, because they just give you all kinds of health pickups here. Yeah, I don't, like, there's definitely a thing that happened where they just kept adding shmup stages to video games, regardless of how ill-advised they would have been. Tick anymore, he's Razorback. And There's mines here, gotta be aware of. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like a lot of games are still willing to be multi-genre. It's just more of a, like, they position them more as, like, a mini-game rather than presenting them as if they were a main part of the game. Yep, see you, Jigga. Have a good one. Nice shot. Got him. Got the drive-by on his teammate. Yeah, his cape just kind of like floating is pretty extra. Also, Warbot. Oh, hello. Didn't even think that there could be that. Warbot is 100% a Cyborg Justice enemy or player. You can't convince me otherwise. Huh. He hit the wall and then impacted as he was falling. That's weird. Oh, good. Good start to our boss fight. So he's like Man of Steel, where he just ignores hit stun sometimes. Bait him into walking on this mine. Yeah, the torso rip that just kills you and them. The Metropolis Kid. We're so small. We're just a little guy. He can't even just throw these guys. He's got to vault throw them. Truly just a little guy. I mean, he can still do the backslide. And he's got to do the... This is just Skate. He has 3 of Skate's throws. Like, legitimately, that is Skate's vault throw. This is absolutely Skate's head punch. I guess he doesn't have that, but it's absolutely that kind of throw that he would have. What do you have for a... Okay, let's not do that again. Stages make a lot more sense now that I've figured out that there's power-ups hidden. Hidden in the walls. Because it always seemed weird to me that these stages were like so empty. Can't get over that he has Skate's head punch thing. Okay. Jack? Yeah, they do kind of look like him. Well, this is the same stage. Didn't give me a health refill. That dude that just spawned and immediately hit a mine. Incredible. Okay. Yeah, Coast City got blown up by aliens or something. I wasn't really paying that much attention, to be honest. I'm pretty uninvested in the story of this game, or the story of this whole thing that happened. one, good one. Whoop. There's one more mine. Sorry, I have to. That's a game over, isn't it? No. I think Batman, it was a game over. That's so weird. So he gets invincibility, but not from the blaster that does no damage? Why are the Supermen fighting each other? Well, Superman died, and so there's Supermen, and some of the Supermen are evil but pretend to not be evil, and some of the Supermen are not evil but pretend to be evil. Engine City. For instance, Cyborg Superman here, who pretended to not be evil, but actually he's trying to make Machine Land. Which, of course, they had to deploy in a major city instead of just like choosing a desert or somewhere. You know, you could form a new city and just be like, hey, we wanna have Machine City on your planet. Now I'm just gonna die. Please just kill me so I can have lives. I like that they're so surprised, or they had no plan for you dying there, so it just ends. Red and blue Superman? I don't think so. No, this is part of oh my god, there was a cutscene. How is this not a new stage? We fought a boss. There was a cutscene. like that in a previous stage the motorcycles were throwable, and in this stage they had too many sprites on screen, so they had to make it just leave. Don't care. Already read that. Please grab him! Oh my god! Where are hitboxes? Last wall. Or maybe that's not breakable. Oh. This is boring to play as it looks. Well, I've spent most of the time talking about how bad the story of this whole comic arc was, so yes. I mean, it's not like bad, like everything's fine, it's just kind of like boring. It's not like it's like super unresponsive or any of those types of deals. It's just very much like, okay, I'm doing the thing. Over and over again. I would rather play the Tick than this game, actually. I think the Tick is mechanically pretty okay. It's just very, very long. This game, I often, like, am walking into an enemy to try and throw them, and I just, like, don't, and I don't understand it. A lot of the bosses in this game just have, like, weird-ass hitbox issues. Or otherwise are just not fun for... Like, a lot of the bosses you have to do, like, this kind of thing. because like the cyborg here just kind of like ignores hit stun. So if you try and punch him or anything normally, then he just punches you back, and you lose that interaction in the long run. I guess I shouldn't have assumed the stage ended, because it didn't actually tell me the stage ended. But also, I've just been paying so little attention that I assumed that would be a place where the stage ended. I understand them giving me... That's the end of the level? Oh, okay. Great. To be honest with you, I've never played any significant amount of any Spyro game. How do I, one of many fake Supermen, know that you're Superman? Never understood it. It's just, like, trying to be darker, more serious. Alright, so here, this part is, like, actually kind of got an interesting mechanic in that you'll keep getting more and more spawns, but you can actually, in this area, break the spawn points by throwing enemies. So by breaking all the spawn points, we actually don't have to do a bunch of the fighting. I guess I have to do that one in particular. That one also works. So probably the best area in the game by the merit that there's any kind of tech. What's his blaster? Just a blaster. didn't want to kill this guy when the spawners are still on, because that just means more fights. There we go. Background to it? They wait. I don't know. Never really was that worried about it. Good shot. Yes. The answer is yes. The orbs are like a screen clearing attack. Oh, there's no boss here. Okay. It was for Superboy, but it's not necessarily for every character. What it does is character dependent. Like, the original Superman just punched the ground and everyone was damaged. That's nice. My favorite, I couldn't tell you like what any of them are, to be blunt about it. Superman is far, far down the list of superheroes that I give a damn about. Who's the Superman? Supposedly, it's the real Superman. That's who they claim. Play as Dark. I don't think you do. I think he shows up very briefly in one stage before thing happens. Oh, thank you. Thank you for that. Can't hit those. Okay. This is all just obstacles. I don't feel like that should have worked, but I accept it. So I guess flashing for this segment. Had to load a new part. Weird ass hitbox there, but it's fine. There may have been a strategy that was better there, but just hitting him with the hammer seems good. Here we are. We got to the second half of the iconic story. Yeah, here's Dark Suit Superman, and we get flashbanged like crazy, and now we're just regular ass Superman. Just plain old vanilla Superman. Do you have a throw that will work? I think it's just the back throw, isn't it? Yeah. So my understanding is essentially that when Superman died, his like existence split somehow, and so it's actually like two portions of Superman fusing back together. That may or may not be what's actually going on there. I would not be surprised at all to find out that I'm full of shit on stating that. Thank you. I'm just gonna kill this guy because he's proved to be really annoying. I would rather just kill him once and then deal with whoever spawns after him. Can I even have 6 of those? No. Got hit and it, like, didn't interrupt my movement, but it made me drop him later. Right, he has bombs too. Okay. Another good flashbang. Amazing. And that's it. That's the whole ass game. What a strange way to end it. I mean, it is the comic book ending, but Cyborg is also like a very anticlimactic fight. I don't know what a climactic fight in this game would look like, though, to be honest. But yeah. Yeah, I mean, the making a video game based on one of the most controversial, maybe would be a way of saying it, one of the most controversial comic arcs that's ever happened. It's tough. Like, you are trying to adapt this story, and then you made it into a game that's just kind of not that great. And then you've got the baggage going along with the original comic. Yeah, I mean, it was very polarizing, and I think the general consensus that I would take from it after the fact, from people that I know and care about comics, is that it changed comic books forever and for the worse. Like, I don't feel like I know anyone who likes comics who feels like comics were better off for Death and Return of Superman happening. But, you know, it was definitely a part of the overall trend of comic books trying to be more serious. It also like kind of took away any sense of death being a real thing in comic books. Like, because it's not even like, you know, if this had just been a story where, like, this is what they told, if this is what they had told as some minor thing, then maybe. But they really hyped up Superman dying. Like, it was a big deal. Yeah, I mean, the overall arc now, looking back on it, has very much the feel of being some filler arc. But you have to understand, like, in the moment of them announcing this, it was like, Superman dies. They have a comic, they have this big spread showing Superman, like, his symbol, and you were wondering, is it like some, like, at first it was kind of like, the first thought was like, is this some kind of bait that, like, they're making it look like Superman died, but actually he didn't, and it was some, like, his, you know, he just disappeared for a while and nobody could find him or something like that. And then, but no, like, they killed him. That's the comic. Like, they fucking kill him. That's the start of it. And, like, dealing with the recourse from that could have been interesting. There are certainly ways you could have written all this that would have turned it into an interesting arc. But also, like, they didn't do that. They wrote this kind of garbage nonsense filler story that really nobody cares about. Like, legitimately, if this arc did not include Superman dying, if Superman was just, like, missing for a while and all these other people showed up and they did all this stuff, literally no one would ever talk about what happened in this. Machine City, nobody gives a fuck about it. Cyborg, like, whatever, nobody cares about all this shit. I don't think most people could name anything that happened in this storyline other than, oh yeah, Superman died, and then they went, Infinity War. Yeah, and it's just like, it's just a prime example of that storytelling based on IPs is going to always be fundamentally flawed because you can't let go of the IP. And video games have had the same problem recently. You know, you look at like Tekken had Heihachi die, and like that was a big deal. They made a big deal out of it. They put it in your face. Heihachi Mishima is dead. They made it dramatically clear, and then they just decided, nope. And it's like, I can't care about your video game story if you're not going to take it seriously, right? Like, there's parts of Tekken's story that I think are interesting, but this just refusal, this absolute refusal to let go of the Mishimas is going to hold it back forever. Right, Ryuno was a really interesting character in the face of Heihachi's death. And now it's like, why is she even here? Yeah, M. Bison's the exact same thing. Like, okay, Capcom, you finally really did it. Nope, we didn't kill him. Sorry, we have no original bones in our body, and we're attached by the ass to this IP that we don't know how to work with anymore. Yeah, the weird thing is I don't even feel like killing Bison is that big of a risk. Like, obviously Bison is quite an iconic character in Street Fighter, but he's not like a major holding together factor of the IP, right? Like, SNK's been pretty good about not bringing back characters up until the whole verse thing. Geese has been dead, yeah. And KOF is explicitly not a canonical game. It's kind of its own thing. Because like even at a base level, having Fatal Fury and Art of Fighting characters in it at the same time, and at the same age, is not correct, because Art of Fighting, like everything that happened in Art of Fighting happened like decades before Fatal Fury. And I'm kind of like worried on the same front about Virtua Fighter 6. And not that Virtua Fighter 6 like has a storyline arc where they're killing someone or anything, but like seeing the version of Akira that they have in it, that's just like, I don't believe that's him. Like, they've just made a new character. 15 entries and say it doesn't have a canon. It does have a canon of its own. I'm just saying, like, the canon of like Fatal Fury and Art of Fighting, while a lot of those characters are in it, like KOF is inherently a dream match. Like, that's why they created it. They put a story on it, but inherently it's an excuse to put all these characters together in one game. Because of Street Fighter 3? Yeah, I mean, I agree. But on the other hand, Bison wasn't in Street Fighter 3. Did anyone care? Like, who's out there complaining that Bison wasn't in Street Fighter 3? Have you ever heard that complaint? I never have. Nobody played Street Fighter 3? I mean, after the fact, yeah, but... Anyway, yeah, I wanted M. Bison to be dead. I don't think he's an interesting character. But, we're going back. We've got this. So this is what I wrote. Like we were talking about, this game is super, or this series is super controversial already. The game's not great. If you really want to see, some stuff, then it's got it. It's got stuff for that. Yeah, when people say Street Fighter 3 bombed, they don't mean like in retrospect. Street Fighter 3 might be the most like post lifespan popularity that a game's ever had. When Street Fighter 3 was released, it was super, super unpopular. And honestly, it remained super unpopular until the one Evo. Anyway, we have one more thing to do here. I'm not gonna try and do another game. I'm just essentially trying to reproduce what I did, so that I have this to put in the queue or in the thing. Where is this? Where did I save this to? Do I need to do this? Well, I mean, you're right, Cliff, but also nobody talks about Street Fighter 2 and means specifically World Warrior. They mean any version of Street Fighter 2. Where did it put this? Well, I have no idea where it put this, so I'm making it again. Is this even what I had? Whatever it was. Alright, so as per usual, we have a game vote. Oh god. Down here. Next week, I'll be doing this again. And as per usual, I want you guys to pick out of these choices what we're gonna do next. What is this? So, Neo Geo is kind of wacky for beat 'em ups. There's quite a few things on it, and there's not a lot that I think is generally considered very good. But you know, the SD Gundam games are kind of interesting. They're their own thing, so there's that. And then there's the Sega Master System, which is very unique. Oh my god. Computer, what the fuck are you doing? Is 1 minute enough? We'll do 2 minutes. We'll let people have some time. The Master System stuff is interesting to me because I was having a conversation the other day about, you know, with all the drama talk online about like, oh, all the, you know, Nintendo, like the American-centric online discourse about video games, and then that turning into like, oh, actually, Nintendo is for the rich kids. And like all this weird discourse that's like very short-sighted to people's personal experiences, which, like, first of all, don't get me wrong, I will not deny that online discourse for video games is highly American-centric, but also, like, America was a big market for video games, right? Like, I very much doubt that Americans would not be like a high percentage of the reason video games continued to exist. And then, like, yeah, and the rich kid narrative in particular is weird to me because it just tells me that you grew up with the N64. Like, that was the era, that was the generation. Because, like, the Sega Master System, it was a console that I didn't know existed and was a real non-bootleg thing until, like, 20 years after it came out. Where I was like, what the fuck is that thing? Oh, the Sega Master System. That's actually, real, huh? It's not something somebody made up and made bootlegs. The rich kid narrative? The rich kid narrative was very real in the N64 era. The N64 in particular was very expensive compared to its competitors. So, that is the specific point in time where Nintendo was the rich kid console. Neo Geo was also, but I mean, I don't think there's any denying that. Alright, the Master System. We'll be playing that. It's an interesting set of games. Definitely some that work. Yeah. Yeah, and that definitely was true. Like, I don't think the Nintendo 64 was out of range of middle class income families. Like, it certainly wasn't. However, also, especially in poorer areas, it like the PlayStation had a real advantage in poorer areas in that it was relatively cheap. It was the console itself. The console itself was definitely in range of a lot of things, and the games themselves were like half price. Well, and I think there is a large argument about what the American middle class actually means, because quite frankly, I don't think what a lot of people consider middle class in the U.S. is actually middle class in the U.S. But that is a whole political discussion that we don't want to do today. I will just leave it as the income inequality in the U.S. is much higher than people like to admit. The original wasn't, and some people turned it into that. But anyway, I'm moving on. We're raiding Gigaboots. They're doing well, Dan is doing like a dragon. Bob appears to have died. So yeah, be back tomorrow. Tomorrow afternoon, 4 p.m. Central. T5 is he's gonna get his revenge on me for all the shitty beat 'em ups I've been making him play, and we'll see how that goes. And then next week we'll do this again. Have a good one. See y'all later.